ELL and mathematical learning in the age of digital technology. In Ontario schools, over 25% of students are identified as English language learners, or ELLs, and the numbers will continue to increase in the years to come. In this current age where the use of digital technology in education is on the rise, what does this mean for ELL students? Do digital technologies used in math education give English language learners equitable access to mathematical learning? Of course, in looking at these issues of equity in using technology, we cannot discount the broader problem and issue of unequal access to technology in the first place, also known as the digital divide, the phrase used to describe the marked difference in access to digital technologies between high and low socioeconomic communities. Rather, I focus here on how even when there is an availability to technology, it does not necessarily always translate into there being equity and access to meet students' diverse learning needs. Regardless of the language background of the students, most math technology in classrooms tend to revolve around drill and practice software. The goals and outcomes are narrowly defined to learning basic math facts and calculations. While technology has become a significant part of math learning today for all students to some degree, it's important to note that strategies for effectively using technology for supporting ELL students should be differentiated based on their specific language learning needs. According to Jim Cummings, for ELL students, there is a distinction between basic interpersonal communicative skill, BICS, which is the ability to hold social conversation in English, and cognitive academic language proficiency, CALP, which refers to the more technical vocabulary knowledge involved in academic English. Studies have shown that CALPS takes up to 4 to 7 years to attain. Meanwhile, all the research points to how vocabulary knowledge is the single greatest factor that affects a student's school success. As math often involves the use of cause and effect language, metaphoric language, and grammatical construction of language, this causes barriers and challenges for ELL students, especially for those whose mathematical knowledge and concepts have not been developed in their home language. For example, one study observed the effect of incorporating the use of tablets for reading and math learning in a classroom of students whose home language was English and a classroom of students whose native language was not English, or ELL students. The students whose home language was English saw more gains in mathematical achievement than the ELL students, and this gap was attributed to how math applications and programs offer few translation options and accommodations when it comes to language support. While generally there was achievement gains for both groups, this study shows a clear gap demonstrating how technology can also perpetuate inequitable access to learning. This highlights the need for schools, administrators, and teachers to select digital tools and programs that provide the adaptations, support, and accommodations that address the specific language support that ELL students need. At the same time, we cannot dismiss the fact that digital technologies do still carry enormous potential for overcoming these barriers of academic inequalities and access that obstruct ELL students from reaching their full capacities in their learning. That is, if it's done right. For example, interactive game features of computer programs and the exploratory nature of the internet can motivate students. The untiring, non-judgmental nature of the computer makes it an ideal tool to help second language learners feel sufficiently secure to make and correct their own errors without embarrassment or anxiety. Further, multimedia or coordinated sets of manipulatives, calculators, and other conceptual aids can help students deal with mathematical patterns and also represent and communicate their ideas with little demand for translation. According to Freeman, the power of digital technology is located first in its capacity to provide what all ELLs need, additional language support, and secondly, in its capacity to adjust and fine-tune to the individual's need for structure and empowerment. A study conducted by Freeman in 2012 uses sheltered instruction, a math intervention called HELP with secondary ELL students. Sheltered instruction refers to a teaching approach that uses specific instructional strategies such as visual cues, building on prior knowledge, and frequent comprehension checks to make subject content instruction easily understandable to students, while simultaneously developing the learner's overall English language abilities. Findings indicated that the use of this technological math intervention was an engaging means of instructional support that not only led to mathematics achievement gains, but also gave confidence to students who might previously have been excluded from math learning because of language barriers. While this demonstrates how powerful digital technologies can be in supporting ELLs and their math learning achievement when built in with specific support, it also brings to attention the importance of student-centered constructivist practices that value and build on students' prior math knowledge, allowing them to develop other essential traits such as self-efficacy, empowerment, and personal agency. Additionally, some studies have observed how the environment and setup of using integrated technology could have different implications when it comes to communicative and collaborative math learning. For example, having students work independently with headphones on in the computer lab would not set the same tone as having computers and tools integrated right into the classroom environment where discussion and communication could happen more freely. Of course, this also ties back to the issues of access and availability of technology in the school-wide setting. While the digital technologies and tools can significantly impact students' mathematical learning experience, many studies have noted that teachers' own beliefs and attitudes about the relevance of technology to students' learning were perceived as having the biggest impact on their success. At the most basic level, all teachers need some sort of training in regards to dealing with daily technological issues and supporting students' use of technology in the classroom. Without the training and support to address common technical issues in a way that fosters a positive classroom learning environment, access to technology may rather take away from rather than enhance students' learning, as studies have found. For example, some disturbing evidence reports that there are classroom practices that assign struggling students to drill exercises at the computer while assigning more competent students to higher order thinking related tasks. This differentially affects students of lower socioeconomic status, putting them at a disadvantage. This makes training and knowledge of basic technical competencies and strategies all the more important for teachers, especially those teaching students needing additional accommodations, such as ELL students. Not only that, there's a need to distinguish teachers' knowledge of technology as opposed to knowledge for teaching particular concepts and skills using technology. This should also be tied to the knowledge of the language and cultural backgrounds from which students enter the classroom. In considering how to integrate technology into their teaching, some important considerations teachers should keep in mind are whether or not those technological tools, one, build ELL students' learning on previous experience, two, create social settings where ELL students' learning could prosper, three, provide a variety of contexts for ELL students with diverse learning needs, four, connected, organized, and relevant content are made available for supporting ELL students and develop their higher order thinking skills. And five, integrate feedback and active evaluation of learning that furthers ELL students' understanding and skill development. In conclusion, this overview explored the issue of equity in using digital technologies to support ELL students and highlights that it is a complex issue with many aspects to consider. Moving forward, educators, administrators, and all involved need to consider the how of integrating digital technologies that are not creating further inequalities or barriers for students who need the most support. According to Sen, who proposed the capabilities approach, equity involves looking beyond equal allocation of specific resources to minimizing differences in the extent to which individuals face obstacles in achieving their capability potential. Additionally, whether the content and approaches used in digital technology is culturally responsive is also something to consider moving forward to create a more inclusive environment for ELLs in the mathematics classroom. Thank you.
The citations and references made in this video were taken from scholarly sources that were chosen not only due to their relevance to the issue, but because of the variety of mixed methods and approaches that were taken and perspectives that were included. For example, teacher perspectives on integrating technology were considered through Ganesh and Middleton's work. Students' experiences were taken into account through Freeman's study. Researchers and academics' theoretical frameworks were interwoven throughout, and some perspectives that were missing were from the perspectives of school administrators and leadership in making decisions regarding technology, as well as those of ELL teachers who work more closely and directly with ELL students. More information and research from primary grades with math and technology integration would have been more insightful.